Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Honestly, my life has gotten a lot better since I subscribed to Walk the Cinema podcast. I heard that they're going to be talking about Sound of Metal soon.
I heard that too as part of their part seven of the Oscar highlights.
Yeah. So, what do you think that one is going to be like?
Oh, I think it's going to be a great episode.
Yeah,
hmm
we'll see. Hello, and welcome to part seven of the Oscar highlights. We are Walk the Cinema podcast, and you should subscribe.
Today we are going to be talking about Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal tells the story of a drummer who is also a former addict and is losing his hearing, and just it's about his life and how he copes with becoming deaf.
Yeah, basically says the whole movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We
He's a
start off.
musician and he's an addict. And
Yeah,
that part is like a little tropey.
a little.
I feel like that's a very usual setup, especially the attic part, just thrown in to make it more tragic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, but I also think maybe it's like a catalyst to
Mm,
or something that I don't know how many like once you become deaf, how do you learn how to be deaf? And I feel like
mhm.
with the addict part, he's able to go to this like house for
Yeah,
people that are addicts and also happen to be deaf. So,
yeah, but that's the easy way to set up the arch.
I mean, I guess it's easy, but like also I don't really know how else you would do it.
Mm. I
That's
think this is the crowd favorite for the year, though.
really.
Yeah, I think this one would be it for like the non super academic type people. I think this would probably be their favorite.
Hmm. I was thinking it would be more along the lines of Trial of the Chicago 7, to be honest.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think that's more of like a middle-aged people movie.
maybe. But sound okay, but we're here to talk about Sound of Metal.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so we start off, we find out that the main character, played by Riz Ahmed, is a drummer in this band that
Mhm.
is touring currently. He's dating the singer and they live in a van and they could just kind of live somewhat of a nomadic life, kind of, where they're just always on the road, always playing on tour.
Yeah.
And one day they're talking and all this stuff, and then he hears this ringing sound, and then his hearing basically just stops working.
Yeah, that's the highlight of the movie is definitely the sound design.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I really appreciated it because, like, I think everyone has heard that ringing in your ears at least once in your life. And they did such a good job at like mimicking that, I guess, without it
But
being like annoying.
and they always pick the right moments to make it muffled
Yeah,
or muted. I think the sound design's incredible all the way through.
I agree. Because there are moments of like complete silence, and then there's moments of like muffles. You hear like the drum beats where you just hear like just
You hear the buzzing
yeah.
and you hear it being like a metallic type sound when he gets the operation
hmm
to try to fix his hearing problem. It's really good. It's definitely going to win the sound category, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. But so he goes after he loses his hearing, his girlfriend calls his sponsor, his addiction sponsor,
Mhm.
and the sponsor tells them to go to this specific safe house, I guess, for addicts with being deaf. And so they go there and they meet the owner of the deaf
Yeah.
community place,
So
and
Paul Rassi.
yes, Paul Rassi.
Yeah.
And he is a veteran who lost his hearing while on duty. And he said he lost his wife and his kids due to his addiction, not because he was deaf, but because of his addiction. And they kind of form, I guess, a understanding throughout the
They're
movie.
like frenemies.
Yeah,
More on Riz's side.
I think that.
He's very aggressive towards everyone,
Mhm.
in the beginning at least. That's his attitude towards his problems. He's being very aggressive and always taking the easy way out.
Yeah. Yeah, and his girlfriend basically leaves him to be at this place, and she goes off and is gonna do her own thing, and he asks her to wait for him, and then they kind of part ways, and then he tries to um, immerse himself in the deaf culture, I guess. He learns sign language. He goes to school with deaf children.
It's definitely, well, Paul Rossi was picked because both of his parents are deaf. He himself is not, but he plays it very well because that's what he lived with, and he knows American Sign Language. So it's a very good representation of that type of community, I guess.
And I did read that they casted a lot of people that were in the deaf community.
Yeah, it's a good representation of the deaf community. You learn some American Sign Language just by watching just a little bit. They do the alphabet, they do his name, they make fun of the way his name is said because he looks like an owl. It's Reuben.
Mm-hmm.
And the sign for Reuben is like a C over your eye, kind of, with your hand.
Yeah, and then there's also like the jazz hands, I like to call them, that's how they clap. You know?
Yes, applause. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's an emotional type movie.
Yeah, and I think it also does, I would assume, a good job at the conflicting feelings someone might have if they are becoming deaf. I
Yeah,
guess the frustration with
it's
never
terrible
being.
to imagine.
Yeah.
You couldn't really imagine losing your hearing until it actually happens.
Yeah, and especially for the type of work that he's in, he's a drummer.
Yeah,
Like
but that's why I
musicians.
say it's an easier arch because he is a musician. As a
Yeah,
musician going deaf makes it easier to make a story.
that's true.
It's. I'm not saying it's emotionally easy, but it is. It's a very straightforward plot, and you understand it immediately because he is a musician. How important hearing would be to him more than the regular person, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good movie. I
I
think it deserves to be in the position that it is, and it's a fairly obvious nomination for Best Picture.
Yeah. And I also think it deals with kind of kind of back to him going through the process of losing his hearing. He is so dead set on getting the cochlear implant to fix the problem, where in the community that he's based in or that he
Mhm.
goes to, they don't view it as a disability. They just view it as something that they have to live with, and that it's not something that needs to be
Yeah,
fixed.
they rather adapt to it because they don't see it as being a negative. It's
Right.
just something new that you got to live with.
Right. Which I think is like must be pretty hard, because there's also a line that Joe, I think is Paul Rissi's character's name. He says that they have to be reminded that it's not a disability every day, and that's why he kicks Riz out
Hmm.
after he gets the cochlear implant, because it must be hard to not want to be able to fix your hearing if you weren't born deaf,
Yeah,
you know?
and he does get the implant because it's part of his character to always take the easy route. But I feel like I would too.
Yeah, and I think that I can't imagine losing my hearing, but when I was watching the movie, I was like, also would want to go that route if I
Yeah,
woke up and my hearing was, I was losing it. And I guess at first I was kind of like, I don't know why they're trying to ostracize him for wanting to regain some sense of his hearing, you know?
yeah,
And
it's understandable, but I guess in the community they're so dead set on adapting to being deaf that they're not accepting of this type of implant.
I guess I just didn't like. fully understand because, I don't know what it's like. I don't know anybody that is deaf, just hard
I
of
do.
hearing, you know? Um,
I do, and it's hard for them
mhm.
to be that. And like, it's not a disability that you can see when you're walking around. So people
Yeah,
try talking to you, or even when you say, I can't hear, they still try to communicate with you because they're not used to talking to somebody that can't hear them.
that makes sense.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to adapt for sure. And it's hard to live with even when you're adapted to.
Yeah. I
I don't have any major criticism for
I
this
don't really
movie.
have any major criticisms of it either. I was trying to think like why.
Well, I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't like the bleach eyebrows,
Uh,
but
the
besides that,
yeah,
it's a good movie. It's a good watch.
yeah, there's
Nothing
nothing
crazy good about it though that makes me be super captivated
right.
either.
That's kind of my problem with it too. Like it's a good story, it's a good movie. I think it is very genuine, I guess, in its storytelling, I guess.
Yeah,
But there's nothing particularly captivating overall.
yeah. It's not inventing the wheel here. It's not a. I don't know. It feels similar to other movies that deal with you know disabilities.
Yeah, I agree. And it, towards the end, I feel like it kind of, I don't know, the ending, I'm not like completely satisfied with the ending. I don't know why. There was just something that I felt like something felt like it was missing to me.
I like the ending, like when it does cut off, when he takes his earpiece out and he goes completely silent.
Yeah.
And
Because
you see him embracing the silence for the first time, like actually enjoying not hearing.
yeah, because he had the implant on and you hear the kind of muffled and distorted sounds that are all around him and that they're so intense and it's kind of like I think at the end it does try to overwhelm the viewer as well with all the
Yeah.
noise because it's so like aggravating, I would say. Everything
I think
sounds
I think it tries to overwhelm you through a lot of points, and it does work because it makes you want it to stop, so you understand what it is like to be in his shoes because he wants it to stop.
yeah. But overall, I'd say it's pretty good. So what was this movie nominated for?
Okay, so this got 6 nominations. You got Best Actor for Riz Ahmed. You got Supporting Actor for Paul Rassi. You got Sound, Original Screenplay, Editing, and obviously Best Picture. I mean, obviously, it was going to get Sound. It's in the name,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's really good. It's the driving technical aspect of the film. The film would be
Yeah,
nothing without the sound design.
yeah, the sound design I think is incredible. It feels like I think it would be hard to capture exactly what it's like to be in that position, but I think it does a good job at least giving you an interpretation of it.
Yeah, the supporting actor wasn't something that was a guaranteed nomination, but I'm actually pretty happy that it got it.
Yeah, I was happy with it too. I think it's a good solid choice.
Yeah, I think overall I'm happy with all the nominations. I don't think there's a really weak one.
Yeah, I would say that I guess my weakest one would probably be the screenplay just because
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, I do agree.
it's pretty basic like and that's not to criticize it or like call it out or whatever. It's just I think it's pretty basic. Like there's nothing particularly groundbreaking with it.
Yeah, the arches are basic and where it's going is pretty obvious, but it works.
Yeah, it works for sure. I mean, it's a solid screenplay. I just don't think it's anything like crazy good, you know?
No, it's not. But it does work. It's a good watch. It's entertaining. It is emotional. It should be where it is. It deserves everything it got.
I agree. I
Very
was
solid
actually
movie.
a little bit surprised that it got Best Picture nomination because I just didn't really think it was going to towards
I
the
thought it
end.
was going to. I do still think it's the crowd favorite. I
Yeah.
think it's the most accessible one.
I guess it is pretty accessible, but I don't know. I I don't know. I haven't really looked at the hype in a while, so I can't really say whether I think a
I
lot
don't
of
know if
people
there's hype for it really. It just feels accessible. It just feels like it's good in an obvious way.
yeah, that's true.
Like something like Nomadland. A lot of people might think it's pointless or boring.
Mm,
Well, this one is a traditionally made movie,
that's true.
which doesn't make it any better or worse. It just makes it more accessible to people that watch just, a handful of releases for the year.
Mm,
And this is on Amazon Prime, so basically everyone in America has access to it.
yeah. Well, I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I really have no good reason why I didn't give it anything higher. It's just kind of how I felt like when I sat down and thought like how much did I enjoy it versus how good I think the movie is. It kind of just felt like a 7 to me, which maybe is controversial. I feel like Letterboxd definitely doesn't thinks it's better, but and I don't think it's bad. I just think that I didn't enjoy it.
Seven's not bad. I give it a 7 too.
Yeah.
I don't. When I give an 8, to me, I would be considering it one of the best movies of the year, and I don't.
Mm.
Ooh, I shouldn't have said that.
I mean, it's
I
your
do. I do think it's good, and I would watch it all over again. It's not. I do think it's good, but the screenplay. I guess we'll see how it ages, but it's gonna age like every other Best Picture nominee that you forget about. I think.
Yeah, I can see that happening too, but mine's just kind of I feel like in order for me to give an 8, I have to have like I have to have like really enjoyed my time and like not that I didn't, but it was kind of like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
But anyway,
Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment and we're going to reply to you.
and we're only one more episode of our Oscar highlights, so stay tuned. We're both really excited to
Yes.
give you our final thoughts, and we'll see you next time.